I'm Gabrielle, 27. We are from Stafford Springs, Connecticut.
I'm Travis Kerboy. I'm also 27 and living with her in Stafford Springs, Connecticut.
Awesome. And so y'all married?
Yes, we are.
And how long have you been married for?
We've been married for 2 years, but we've actually been together for 13.
Sounds like my wife and I. We've been together for 10 years this November, but we've been married for a little under a year and a half. I'm excited to have y'all today because y'all are my first couple on the show. So what do y'all do for work?
So I work as a full-time supervisor at DHL. I've been there for a year and a half-ish. I think a little over.
Yeah.
Before that, I worked at UPS for 7.5 years before switching over to current job. Those are the only 2 jobs I've had.
And how much you make a year at your current job?
Roughly 75 a year, 75 grand a year. With
$78,750 is his base salary. And then he has 2 types of bonuses. One is a guaranteed, it's just 10% of his salary every month. And then they also have like a performance-based bonus that varies.
Gabrielle, do you work as well?
Yes, I work part-time right now. So I am working as an executive assistant for a friend of mine who has a construction company. So I do a lot of payroll. I do pictures on the job sites for social media, calling back potential customers, that kind of stuff.
And how long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing that for about 2 years now. I had 2 major hip surgeries a couple years back and was not able to work. So this was just nice. He set me up with a job where I could work from home. So I'm also salary based and I make a flat $360 a week. And then if I do any travel, I'll get mileage reimbursement.
Okay, and so that's gross pay, $360 a week?
Yeah.
Are you paid as a contractor or payroll tax is taken out?
I am now payroll tax. That changed about a year ago.
Okay.
W-2.
How many hours a week are you working?
Not a lot. It varies. I would say it's rare that I work more than 10 hours.
So we'll call it $36 an hour roughly, somewhere in that ballpark where your current hourly rate is if we put it down an hourly rate. Awesome. And how would y'all define your current financial situation on a scale of 1 to 10? I guess for context, for all viewers, finances, are they combined or are they separate?
We're completely combined.
Completely combined. Okay. And so rating your combined situation on a scale of 1 to 10, where'd you put yourself? 1 being terrible, 10 being awesome.
We're probably going to disagree, but I would say we're like a 6. He might think higher.
I would think slightly higher at a 7. Yeah, probably a 7.
And what makes you both say those numbers?
You can go.
Okay. So my whole thing is we recently got a car loan in the spring. So that makes me not feel super great. And I would like to have a little more in retirement than what we have right now. We also had some major hits to our emergency fund over the last couple years. But overall, I do think that we're above average. I think we're doing fairly well given our circumstances.
And Travis, why do you give yourself a 7?
Because I don't go into as specific reasons as she does. Being upfront about it, she gets very into our finances and she gets to take care of a lot of them. So much so that she's offered multiple times to go over them with me to make sure that I understand them completely. So I have just less of a not specific knowledge about it.
Okay, so Gabrielle, you manage the finances, it sounds like, and Travis, you let her do her thing.
He makes the money, I spend the money.
Something like that. Not exactly.
I mean, it's on bills, but
Yeah.
You manage it. Okay. Let's talk about current debts then. We talked about a car loan that was taken out earlier this year. What's the total balance, current balance on that car loan?
$12,700.
Okay. And what was the original loan amount?
$14,600. It's pretty new. We just got it at the end of April, so it's been 4 months.
Okay. And what kind of car is it?
It is a used 2021 Hyundai Sonata. Pretty high mileage on it. It's a retired rental car.
Well, first glance, $14,000 car loan is not the worst I've seen out there.
Yeah, so we actually, with all the registration and fees, it came out to, I think, close to 22, but we put down like 8,000.
Okay. So you put down some money on that car.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was your previous car? What caused y'all to go get a new car?
I had a car accident where someone had pulled in front of me trying to go the opposite direction and stopped in the middle of the road to where I could not brake in time.
Yeah, so he had a 2013 Ford Focus with like 150,000 miles. We were really hoping to get like another year or 2 out of it. So we were kind of working on starting to save up for a new car. So then all of a sudden when it was totaled, it was kind of like, uh-oh, what do we do?
Did you get any money from the insurance company with that?
Yeah, it was what, like I think it was about $5,000.
It was it was like maybe $100.
Yeah.
So you rolled that in a little bit more into this new.
Yeah, we put like an extra 3,000 in.
And what's the current car payment?
$350. It's $350.11, and that's a 4-year term.
And is that the only car loan you'll have right now?
Yes, my car we bought cash a couple of years ago.
And what other debts do you have?
Our only other debt is our mortgage.
Awesome. And what is the balance on that? What's the house worth and what's the interest rate on it?
The balance is $137,000 ballpark. Interest rate is great because we bought in 2020, so it's actually 2.75.
Nice.
And because we bought right before prices skyrocketed, so our house is estimated at about 235 right now.
Beautiful. So you have some equity in that. I mean, even at a 2.5% interest rate, I'm assuming your principal versus interest is still probably only a couple $100 a month is actually going towards the principal pay down. So your house is appreciated a decent bit.
Yeah, I think our payment is about half of it goes to escrow because we do have PMI and property taxes are pretty high where we live.
Okay.
And then I think we pay a tiny bit more in interest still. So it's maybe $200 to $250 a month is going towards principal.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so $287 is going towards principal, $314 towards interest, and then $485 for taxes and insurance. So split about 50-50. That's one thing I guess a lot of people don't think when they buy a house is a lot of it goes towards interest because it's front loaded. But
right,
I mean, at a 2.75% interest rate, it's 50-50 right now, which is good versus if you buy a house right now at a 7% interest rate. I don't even want to know what the proportion going towards interest versus the principal is in the first couple of years. Probably it's like 80% if I had to guess at least.
Yeah, I think I heard that like if you were to get the same mortgage now that we had gotten 3 years ago, it would cost 40% more, assuming the same purchase price.
Yeah, it would be insane. So what percentage y'all put down on the house?
Like 3%. So we previously owned a condo and got into a situation where we had to leave. We were never given like the condo docs, the rules for the association, because we had bought the condo from an estate. And when COVID hit, I was just injured. I had to leave my job. So we got a dog. And
as you do when you're injured and you don't have a job.
And apparently dogs were not allowed. And the neighbors just kind of turned it into like a nightmare situation for us.
Well, no, dogs were allowed, just not our dog.
3 pounds too heavy.
You're kidding me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they got a scale out and weighed this dog?
No. So actually, they had a height limit too. And I guess they couldn't be more than like 15 inches high. And she's like 18 inches.
Well, so one, they just flat out said dogs aren't allowed. It's in the condo rules. We asked for the condo rules because we didn't have any. They told us, no, you definitely have them. We didn't. After getting a copy of them, we looked at it and we said, okay, she's like right on the border of the height. When we got her, she was underfed and she was within the weight range, but they were just like, no, dogs weren't allowed. And they saw that their own rules said dogs were up to a certain amount. And we were like, well, technically she fits because she's underfed right now. And then they like started pointing out a bunch of different things that we were allegedly not doing right. Like we had a bird feeder out for a year.
They ripped it out of the ground and like put it on our door with this note saying you can't have a bird feeder here.
And before we even put it out, we had asked them, hey, is it okay if we put a bird feeder out? And they said yes. So like because we had, or from our understanding, because we had a dog, they were then going back and saying, well, you shouldn't be doing X, you shouldn't be doing Z. This is what you're doing wrong.
So it ended up being a nightmare situation just to live there, like mental health. So we're like, all right, time to move.
Time to get out.
Oh, yeah. So obviously we didn't have money saved up for a down payment. We had equity in the condo, but we had only lived there for like 2 years. So the plan was to buy the house and then sell the condo and use that money for the down payment. Well, because my mental health was kind of struggling at the time due to my injury and this whole situation at the condo. So I dragged my feet on getting the condo ready to sell, and it took about 6 months to sell it. And by the time it sold, the interest rates were so much higher that I'm like, let's not put the money down. So we had gotten about $40,000 when we sold the condo, and unfortunately, none of that ended up going to refinance.
Okay, so you got $40K. Okay, so you bought the house, then sold the condo, but your thought was take the equity and refinance the home.
Correct.
Okay, so but by the time interest rates were higher. So you're like, I'm not going to get rid of that 2.75%.
Yeah, it was like February 2021 by the time we sold the condo.
Okay. So interest rates were a little bit higher and decided, okay. So what happened at $40,000 then?
So 2 months after that, in April, I was actually in a car accident. Our roads don't get plowed here. I was on my way to physical therapy and there was 6 inches of snow on the road. So I got in an accident. I was driving a really old car, so my car was totaled. And so we used about a little under 20,000 of it to buy me a new car. Not new, but used.
Yeah.
And then after that, so then we got married June of 2021, got about $10,000 from the wedding. So we had
hold on real quick, which is abnormal to gain money really from a wedding.
My parents paid for the wedding. So we got the $10,000 in wedding gifts. So then we still had the remaining 20,000 from before. So we had a total of like 30 to 40,000 maybe. And with the wedding money, I was like, okay, I kind of want to like tile our shower. So we got a contractor in the house, and come to find out we had major structural issues with the house.
Ooh.
So they had to jack up 2 beams downstairs, like 5 inches, replace all of our subfloor, level out the floors, replace all of our plumbing, our water softener, our well pump, and then we needed new flooring. So every time they started doing something, they found a new problem with the house, and it was supposed to be a $6,000 shower, and it turned into $35,000 of repairs.
The things they don't talk about with home ownership is
yes,
a $6,000 project turns into $35,000.
What was it? The first 8 years of home ownership is the most expensive.
Yeah.
So
we ended up being happy that we didn't use the money to put towards the house.
Yeah, I definitely, because I mean, people will talk about, frankly, I think people overglorify home ownership. I'm a homeowner too, and well, the bank owns my home, but
well, yeah.
but own a house, and I think owning a home is great. But if you're not set up for success, you don't have an emergency fund, then it can quickly turn ugly really quick. I mean, y'all's instance, within, I'm assuming the first year, sounds like, of
yeah, it was a little over a year.
Okay, about a year into owning a house, $35,000 in cost. If you don't have an emergency fund, if you don't have any savings, you're putting that on a credit card, you're pulling out a HELOC. I mean, it's just going to turn into a bad spiral there.
Right.
About a little over a year after I moved to my house, I had a water pipe burst. That was $3,000. I had a new tax bill for $3,000, and thankfully, again, paid cash for it, had cash saved up for it. And then another friend, I think within the first 6 months of him moving in, his basement flooded, and that was about $30,000 for him. Again, not having an emergency fund can end poorly. So I think home ownership is great. Love having a house, but at the same time, if you're not set up for it, don't have an emergency fund, then something's going to break in your house. Something's going to go wrong, and if you don't have cash saved up for it, it gets really ugly. I think Zillow this week just launched a product they're trying to do 1% down payments for home buyers. So Zillow is trying to help just people not looking to buy houses much by saying, hey, we can do a 1% down payment on a product for it. And that's just, frankly, in my opinion, going to destroy people, because if you only put 1% down on a house, interest rates at 7%, you probably don't have an emergency fund saved up. You're not going to be able to afford when stuff breaks. And I don't think it's going to be a pretty outcome for a lot of people in that situation. So I think, frankly, in my opinion, whether you want to put 5% down, 10% down, you need to at least have, in my opinion, 3 to 6 months, at least 6 months, preferably more, when you buy a house, after you account for all closing costs, moving costs, everything, because you don't know what's going to happen to your house. And when you try to do a project like that, it turns in from $6,000 to $35,000. So
yeah,
you're fortunate you didn't go finance a car during that time period to have a $500 a month car payment.
Yeah,
and then have that hit.
Well, and we didn't go crazy with buying like a super expensive car. It was like a 4-year-old crossover SUV, like 60,000 miles.
Yeah.
So
and you bought a house well within your means. I mean, net income.
Well, we made a lot less money I didn't know about finances as much back then, so we didn't make as much money then.
Yeah, with the new job at DHL, I got a substantial increase in my pay.
He roughly doubled his salary when he took that job.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you set yourself up for success by not buying a more house than you can afford. So
right.
Great. So we have talked about debts. We got the car loan, $12,000. We got the mortgage, $137,000 left on it. So that's $149,000 worth of debt. But then assets, we have $235 for the house. But you have okay, so you put $270 in terms of assets for the cars. So what's the value of each car?
I think my car is worth about 15 or 16. I drive a 2017 Subaru Crosstrek. It currently has 86,000 miles on it. No issues with it. And then he has the 2021 Sonata with about 65,000.
Okay, so
miles.
about $35,000 worth of cars, give or
Roughly,
take?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I figured his was probably like 19 and mine's like 16. I think that's what I figured.
Okay. 270 in assets there. It looks like investments for 401ks and non-retirement accounts, we have $68,000, and then we have about $14,000 in savings. Is that all correct still?
Yeah, that's roughly correct.
Okay.
Give or take.
So we're sitting about $350 in total assets, $150 roughly in debt. So net worth just over $200,000.
Yep.
How does that make y'all feel? 27 years old.
Feels good. I always divide it by 2 because there's 2 of us. But no, I think it's good. I know most people we know our age, a lot of them have like a negative net worth. So I feel very fortunate that we're not in that situation, at least. I think a lot of it is because we're lucky with, just when we bought the house, really.
Yeah, well, as well as having family to be able to rely on. Like when we had the floor and all the other additional problems in our house, we didn't have to go and rent a place because we
couldn't live in our house. There was no flooring. We lived with my parents for almost 2 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And we were both able to live at home until we were 22.
Yeah.
So that helped out a lot. We didn't have to pay rent.
Yeah. That definitely helps because, if you can't live in your house and don't have someone to live with, got to go rent an Airbnb or something, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg.
And we had a dog and 4 cats. So
I got 4 cats.
We do. Yeah. You can see Cora here is visiting, but there's 4 cats.
Okay, so net worth $200,000. I mean, that's awesome at 27. I looked this up before we started chatting. I think the median net worth of people under 35 is like $13,000. So
yeah,
I mean that means 50% of people are below $13,000, and you're well over that. And the average net worth, obviously, it's skewed a little bit with higher net worth people, but 76,000 is the average net worth for people under 35. So again, you're well above the median by a lot, and average net worth, you're well above that too. So I mean, at 27, being in that spot, that's a great spot to be in. Most people would like to be in that situation.
Yeah.
And you got a great interest rate on your house. So
I'm very happy. I'm not happy about the interest rate on the car, but I'm happy about the house.
I'm not either, but we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's talk about, I guess, financial upbringing and education. So where did y'all grow up?
You want to go first?
I grew up in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. About 13 years old, my parents split up, so I ended up going back and forth for, I think, a year before I settled on just staying with my mom in Holland, Massachusetts. From there, I then, at 22, moved in with this person. Don't know who she is still, figuring it out. That's for me growing up.
What about financial?
Financial education, there wasn't really anything concrete. Like, no one went out of their way to teach me some stuff. I knew a very, very tiny amount because of a book that my mom had that was laying around, but it was mostly just about like CDs, and it was about how to actually make a bank account. It wasn't really anything. The only thing I had as actual education was just being told, save your money, put it in a bank account, don't spend it. That's how you keep money.
Gabrielle, what about you?
So I grew up in Dayville, Connecticut. Pretty stable home. My 2 parents are still together. I have 1 older sister. She's 2 years older. We were like middle class, I would say. My mom is a nurse and my dad owns a business. He and my grandfather own a jewelry store. My parents didn't like really talk to us directly about, hey, this is our money situation, but like I was always very curious, and like if I asked, like I could just ask my dad, hey, how much is our mortgage payment? And he would tell me. Like I could ask him anything and he would just tell me. So my parents were always very careful. Like they would let us go out and have fun, but there was like a limit to it. So it's like, okay, we can go on vacation. You can pick out the hotel, but it has to be less than like $150 a night. So there, I was kind of used to having a budget from a young age. Even like when I got money for my birthday, they would make me put half of it in the bank. I could only spend up to half. So that kind of made me, I would be like 10 years old. I had this little like jar of cash in my room because I would just hoard it away. So
that's good lessons teaching you growing up. Hey, you can't spend it all. And I mean, that's a mindset a lot of people need to have, because a lot of people.
And my parents both grew up very poor. So that's where that came from.
And I mean, it's just something that needs to be taught across the world. Because again, when people get their first full-time job, they get their first paycheck, and their whole life they've been okay, I get $100 for my birthday, I'm gonna spend $100, and then you get
Right.
first paycheck, $1,000, whatever it might be, I'm gonna spend the full $1,000, and just
Right.
starts a vicious cycle with that. I'm assuming y'all met in high school then.
Kind of. We met during high school, but not actually at the high school.
We met actually at the end of 8th grade. We never went to school together at all.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, so we started dating. It was like right after I went to private school in middle school, so I finished school early. So it was like right after I graduated, we started dating. Yeah, and that was in 2010.
Nice. That's awesome. My wife and I, we met freshman year of high school, so 9th grade, and then we started dating. We've been together since junior year of high school, so
Okay.
have done that, and it's fun knowing people for your entire life, basically. So
Yeah.
I guess y'all been together for almost half your life, and basically for more than you don't remember the first 8 to 10 years of your life, basically either. So you've known each other for more than half your life right now.
Right.
Let's talk about couples finances. So how did y'all start approaching money? When did y'all start talking about money in your relationship?
I would say before we bought the condo, our finances, obviously we were dating, we didn't live together, our finances were completely separate, and just kind of got to a point where we had a discussion like, hey, like it's time to move in together. And when we bought the condo, it was solely in his name because at the time I didn't have a credit card. I had no credit score. So the mortgage was in his name, but then when we bought the condo, we got a joint bank account, which I know is a big no-no when you're not married, but we did it. And yeah, he's kind of the type of person who, like, when he had bills before, everything was just on auto pay. Just, no thought.
Just set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not spending too much to not be able to cover it, but have it just automatically take it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't spend his money, so it would just sit in his checking account, pay the bills, and that would be it. So then I kind of started taking over a lot of the financial planning once we have the joint accounts. And since then, I pretty much handled that.
Which you also would communicate to me when you were doing it.
Well, yeah, I'm very open with it. He thinks I'm too open about it because I try to ask for approval when he doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, I think communication in relationships is obviously very important. Have to communicate, whether it's money.
Finances.
Yeah. And I mean, money is one of the number one causes of divorce in America because people don't agree on how to spend their money or how to get out of debt, or it just causes all sorts of things. And money is a interesting topic because you talk to a lot of people like, oh, keep separate bank accounts if you're married. Other people say combine them together. I'm more on team combine them together because you're a team. You should be working as a team, not as roommates. And so I'm definitely pro combining accounts together. Maybe in some odd situations, I would say do separately, but 95 to 99% of the time, I'd say I think most people are better off combining them together to make sure that you're formulating a plan together versus doing it separately. So it's also funny when you look at Venmo one day and you see a married couple Venmoing each other back and forth, and you're like, one,
He doesn't even have Venmo. It all just goes to me.
if you're going to Venmo your partner, your wife, your husband, put it on private. And two, why are you Venmoing each other? But it's always just an interesting thing because a lot of people handle their money differently. A lot of people grew up with different upbringings, different teachings. But glad that y'all are working together on a team and working together. So what got you to start kind of worrying or thinking more about finances and educating yourself more about finances? Because you said you didn't a few years ago, and then when you took over the condo, I guess, started learning.
Yeah. So honestly, it was more recent than that even. It was probably a little over a year ago. I started watching YouTube videos and found Graham Stephan's channel.
Yep.
And then, then I kind of saw some of Dave Ramsey's stuff and then Caleb Hammer. And then I found your channel recently. And so once I kind of started seeing those finance videos, it just kind of made me more interested in learning more about like how much you should be investing and, 50-30-20 rule and all that stuff. So that's really where it started for me.
Nice. And Travis, have you spent much time educating yourself in finances? Or did you let her run with it?
I've done very little. Again, there's no formal like learning that I've done. Like I haven't gone out of my way to learn anything. If I have a question about something, I am comfortable to ask her. I'm sure she'd want me to ask more, but I completely trust her with it. It's just something that because we've been together for so long, I'm not really worried about it if she's not worried. There has been maybe a very small amount of times where I ask like, hey, are we doing okay? Is there anything I need to do specifically? But it's usually come back as we're good. You're good. Don't worry about it.
Nice. And I think, self-education is the best thing out there to do. Graham has great content. Dave Ramsey does. Caleb does. There's a lot of great stuff out there. And Dave was how I started learning about finances. I took his class when I was in high school. I was fortunate they offered it, and I think I was the only kid in that class that actually cared and paid attention. My wife still told that story recently, that I was the annoying kid in class that would answer all the questions when the teacher asked it in the personal finance class, all about Dave's course. And she was dating me at the time, and she was like, I don't know this guy, basically, in that class, and like didn't want to be associated with me. But I understand, because in high school people don't care about finance, they don't want to talk about money. But what really got me at that time was started playing around with Dave Ramsey's essentially compound interest calculator. And I was like, wow, if I put this much money in, I'm 16 years old, put $100 in, by the time I'm 67, it's gonna be millions of dollars. And really just cool to see those types of things, and got me start learning, because I started my first business when I was 15, and right around then when I was taking Dave Ramsey's class in high school, and really just got me thinking a lot about money. So great. I
wish I had that education back in high school.
Yeah. It honestly, it helped me so much. It helped me learn, and the amount of conversations I've had, whether friends and family have agreed with stuff I've said or tried, but like, it's just taught me so much, and just started my education, versus a lot of people don't start educating themselves about money until they're $50,000 worth of debt. And it's a lot hard to do that. So that's really part of the reason why I started this channel, because I was fortunate to have a school that offered the class, and I was fortunate that I decided to take it. But majority of Americans don't have that opportunity, or class or schools don't offer it. And it would really benefit America as a whole if that was required in every single high school and every single college to take some sort of education with that. So let's talk about your current financial situation and current expenses. So we already went through the debt, assets, and net worth. So we're at net worth about $200,000. Looking at the sheet, it looks like your gross income is about $7,500 a month, which is about $90,000 a year between the both of y'all.
What was the number?
90,000?
It's higher than that.
Higher? Okay.
Like I said, with his bonus, the guaranteed 10% bonus is like 86,000. I'm at about 18,000.
Okay.
So it's like 105 maybe.
Okay, so it's a little bit higher than this. Do you know what net income is for both of y'all then? Because right now it's $5,000, just over $5,000 a month.
Yeah, so that's based on just like a 4-week month. He's paid bi-weekly. His net pay without the bonus is $1,922. Then the bonus can range, it's usually between on a really good month, $800. But I would say about $500 is a pretty safe bet. And then I'm paid weekly, and it's just under $300. It's like $297.
Okay, so you're coming in north of $5,000 then, if you're...
Yeah, I always round our income down when I budget to leave a little wiggle room.
I like to leave wiggle room, and it turned out better. So really that puts you, I mean, you're getting, how much are you getting weekly after taxes?
My weekly is just under $300, $297.
Okay, just under $300. Okay. That puts y'all more at $6,000, but and net income then.
Yeah, I just, like I said, that's based on like a 4-week month, and we're rounding down.
Okay, round down, and then you get more left over at the end, which makes it seem better. I'm the same way. I'd rather overestimate with costs and then hopefully come under, or I think it's a better route to go versus doing the opposite, and you overestimate and then it turns out to be less in case they cut the bonus or whatever it might be. It's better to leave yourself some margin there.
Right.
You round up for bills, round down for fate.
Yeah. So housing expenses, $1,100 for our mortgage, basically.
Yep.
Home utilities, $450. I'm assuming that's including everything, energy, gas.
Yeah, like $150 is electric, and then about $50 a month for trash. Propane varies; it's only for cooking. And then the big kicker is in the winter it's Connecticut. It gets cold.
Yeah.
We heat with a pellet stove. So I kind of averaged out our cost of pellets.
Okay.
If it was 12 months out of the year. So it's lower in the summer and higher in the winter.
Okay. So home expenses, $1,550 basically. The one line item we don't have in this budget right now is home maintenance, which is something I'm a big proponent of having in your budget because stuff does happen. And obviously y'all have gone through that, but y'all typically have that in your budget or no?
So no, because right now I've been putting extra money into our emergency fund. So if something comes up that needs to be maintained, I just count it from the emergency fund. Because I'm always not always, but lately it's been putting more in than taking out.
Yeah. Okay. That's the way, as long as you're saving money and you're stowing it away in your emergency fund, that's a good route to go. But I just think
it's hard to put a number to it because like you could have months in a row where it's zero and then all of a sudden it's $10,000.
Yeah. And that's what and I don't know if this is the best way, it's just the way my wife and I do it, is like we have a line item in our budget every single month, and it's basically a sinking fund. So we use Mint, and it's like when we don't use it, it just goes negative. So like right now, since we had a water pipe burst in December, that ate up everything that was in there. And so this year, where we haven't had many major expenses or repairs, so it's like negative $2,000 or something right now, or negative $3,000. But we put a couple $100 away in that every single month just so that I can save for it. And it's basically, just going towards our emergency fund, towards our savings. But I like having that in our line item in our budget app. So, but as long as you're saving for it, that's all that matters. But people also don't look at that when it comes to home buying. Say, oh, my mortgage payment is $1,000. You got higher maintenance because you got lawn care, you got bug service, you got everything else. And then the home maintenance is a big kicker that people don't think about because it gets expensive. So now into cars. $215 for car insurance for both vehicles, I'm assuming?
Yes, but that's the average per month. I actually pay it usually 6 months at a time. So that'll be due in October. It's a little over $1,200.
Okay.
For 6 months.
And then we got car payment $350, and then gas between both cars $275.
Yeah, that's gas and tolls. He has to take toll roads to get to work, so that ends up being $20 a month, maybe.
Okay. So we have total auto and transport $840, home $1,500. So, and then groceries about $400 a month combined.
Yep, that's the high end.
So total necessities percent about just under $2,800 a month, which is a healthy spot to be in with your rent and mortgage being a very low portion. I mean, right now, 18% of your net take-home pay, which is awesome spot to be in. That's good to see. And then we have what I call total fun money. Subscriptions, $35, eating out, $50. Y'all don't eat out often, it looks like.
No, I can't, right? I'm on a very strict diet right now for medical reasons.
Okay. Even before that, just because you're vegan,
I'm also vegan, and we're not in a vegan-friendly area.
Yep. Okay. And then entertainment, $50. Health and fitness, $300.
That's actually medical.
Okay.
That's
medical.
It's a lot of co-pays and prescriptions and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Personal care, $50. Shopping, $100. And then with 5 animals, $175. Seems low, honestly.
That's not including vetting.
Okay.
Because I wasn't sure how to average that out. Like some of the cats are feral, so they only go to the vet every 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, pets get expensive. I mean, I think my dog's budget's $170.
I'm guessing you saw our dog in our statements.
Yeah.
For spending. So yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah, I mean, my dog, he's older, but we got health insurance, we got food. He's we joke he's over budget this month or this year because he's going through some different cancer treatments and stuff. But it gets expensive real quick with dogs. But then when those expenses come, you'll do anything for them. So, but they add them quick. So you got to have the line item there. Okay, great. So we got total expenses roughly $3,500 a month with a net income of $6,000. I mean, that's $2,500 a month left over, it seems, after accounting for all expenses. Is that typically how y'all shake it out every single month?
I feel like something always comes up.
Yep. Something always comes up.
It's usually one of 3 things. It's either something medical for me, something vet for the animals, or something with the house.
Yeah. 3 biggest things, same with me, is house. Medical is definitely a big one. And then pets. So those are 3 biggest variable things that emergencies happened or things happen with. So, but the beautiful thing is you have a lot of room for margin, $2,500 a month. And that allows a lot of room for margin on that. What are y'all contributing right now to 401ks?
So I was trying to funnel everything into beefing up our savings, but then I started getting like some anxiety about not contributing enough. So I don't have a 401k.
Okay.
But I amped his up to make me feel better. So he's doing not through his own choice, but he's doing 5% traditional and 5% Roth. And then his work matches 4%. And then every year that he's there on December 31st, they give you an extra 2%. So they basically give you 6% every year.
Okay. And you don't have the option at your work to do a 401k right now, being part-time?
They are starting it. Conneticut just made it a state law, anyone with 5 or more employees. So we'll be starting it. I was planning on just doing the 3% to get the match, which is a pretty small amount since my salary is pretty low.
Okay. And so the rest of this leftover, where y'all putting? Are y'all just trying to stack up for an emergency fund right now, or where's this money kind of going?
So for the car payment, because I don't like the interest rate, I've been paying double on it. I've been doing $700 a month. Good. Instead of $350, and then the rest I've been trying to put into savings.
Okay, nice. So healthy financial spot with income and expenses, living below your means, investing for retirement with both the Roth and traditional route, and trying to pay off the debt a little bit faster. Future financial goals.
So ideally, we would like to be able to retire a little early, possibly at like 60, or maybe at least, work like only part-time at 60 just to get like health insurance or something. So that is one goal. Eventually, at some point in our lives, we would like to get another house, probably, not for minimum 10 years, if not 20 or 30, something a little bigger and in a different location. Beyond that, we'd just like to, be able to live fairly comfortably, not a crazy extravagant lifestyle, but, not have to worry about money when we're older, basically.
Travis, you have anything to add to that?
I really don't.
Whatever she wants.
I'm very much a guy who just, I want to work until I don't have to anymore. And when I don't have to, I'll just be spending a lot of time with my wife and taking care of the home.
Makes sense.
Another goal that I have separate from him, which he's on board with, not quite financial, is it is a dream of mine to publish a book. So I've been having some difficulty with working on that just because of my health issues right now. But I would like to write a book and possibly at some point, if that becomes a source of income, maybe have that be my career.
Hey, I love it. Dreaming and goals, I think it's an awesome thing to have. I mean, have to just work at it. And do you write a lot right now? Are you doing anything for that, or?
I've written a lot in the past. I actually did a lot of poetry a while back, but I've never been published, and I've had a lot of like stomach issues, which I guess I have ADHD and it makes my ADHD worse. So I just can't focus right now.
Okay. Yeah. I guess my only advice on that is chasing a goal. Just do it. I've talked about doing finance, whatever, for 2 years probably now. My first business was in social media. I've never been behind the camera until I started this podcast 3 months ago, and definitely a weird thing, but I'm out there. It's just trying to help the world, and it's fun to do. So whenever you can or you're able to focus, just write. You never know what's going to happen with it. I don't know if anything's going to come with this channel. I don't know if it'll ever make a dime, but I do know I enjoy doing it, so I'm going to continue doing it. So.
Yep. I kind of am giving myself a pass because I'm finishing up a treatment right now that I should be done within about a month. So I'm like, all right, once I'm done with these medications, then it's time to focus.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk about the car loan, because
do we have to?
We have to, because y'all have a great financial situation right now. The only thing I don't like out of any of this is the car loan.
Yes.
I'm in the Dave Ramsey camp when it comes to cars. Buy it cash. If you can't buy it cash, you can't afford it. Because it leads people making $50,000 a year to go finance a $40,000 car or do something stupid. And I don't really care what your interest rate is on a car loan. If you can't afford to pay in cash, it's like, why? You're trying to make a marginal difference there on your money, and most people don't have the money to do it. So I'm a proponent of car payment, cars paying cash only. But
I've never had a car loan before. He had one before. So I'm a lot more uncomfortable about it than he is.
I bought my parents bought my first ar, and it was like a 2000 Jeep Cherokee. And then I wanted a truck. So ended up selling that after a year, and then bought a truck that with money I'd made. And so I had that truck for junior in high school. So that was 9 years ago, 9 years, I guess I've had that truck. And I've never bought a car until my wife and I bought a car last year. And one of my friends tried to talk me into financing it, and I was like, I'm not doing that. But it was when interest rates were lower too, at like 2 or 3%. I could have gotten it, but it's like, I just don't want a monthly car payment. So, but right now you're making double payments on it, which is great. And I see that in here in the transactions. What's your current plan or thought on trying to pay it even faster than you are right now, given your current excess in income versus expenses?
So
I want to hear Travis's answer first.
Oh, no, please don't. While I would like to make it go away as quickly as possible, I also think that at some point going to be more worth our money to invest it somewhere to be able to make either the same amount or hopefully more back on it, rather than just spending it on more of the car payment.
So if you're at like a 2 or 3% interest rate,
that would make sense. But because I'm at the higher percentage, it wasn't
like
really
7.
Yes,
it would be really difficult to do. Yes.
Yeah, so at 7%, yes, the historical S&P 500 is 10%, but there's obviously risk associated with it. In 2022, it was down 18%. This year, it's up 15%, whatever we're at right now. And It's just not worth the risk reward there. Sure, if you're at 2% or 3% and you're like, hey, I want to do this, it's not the route I'd go. I'd still pay it off sooner, just because I would not like having a $300 a month car payment. And the also issue is when people say, hey, I'm going to invest a difference, they don't go invest a difference. They're like, I have a 2% car loan, I'm going to go spend the rest on shopping, or I'm going to go spend the money on this, or emergency comes up or whatever. They don't actually pay down the car or don't actually invest the difference. So the whole point of keeping loans and saying you're going to try to arbitrage that debt interest rate to investment returns is only works if you actually invest money. But at 7%, I mean, you're risk-free. You're not going to be getting 7% risk-free returns anywhere. Obviously, with CDs, with high yield savings account, you're sitting around 4 to 5% right now. But also the short side of that is you have to pay taxes, income taxes on that. So if you're in the 22 or 24% tax bracket plus state income taxes, you're sitting about 30%. So your 5% return is actually 3.5% after you account for taxes. In my opinion, I think it's best to, especially at a high interest rate, is be putting as much there as possible. You're putting $350 on top of that every single month. I would personally put more, try to pay down a little bit faster. But also I know at the same time you're trying to buffer up your emergency fund. So as long as you're doing a mixture of both, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So I've just been having trouble because like the car loan gives me anxiety. The emergency fund not being as high as it should be gives me anxiety. And not investing 15 to 20% gives me anxiety. So I'm like, do all three, which I know is probably not the most ideal, but it's kind of what makes me feel better.
Yeah. And that's the issue too, is if you're trying to focus on all three, you kind of
you end up not focusing on all three.
Yeah. You end up not focusing and you make a lot slower progress on each one. So you feel like you're not going anywhere, and it's better to be kind of more focused to, and if you wanted to cut down to, instead of investing, I mean, right now, if I was always like, okay, if we're trying to put $1,000 or $2,000 in a brokerage account, let's put it towards the car loan. Let's put it towards the emergency fund, stack those up a lot quicker. And then you can start investing after it, because I mean, this car loan, you be able to pay off easily the next 12 months. I mean, frankly, you have the money in your savings account, do it tomorrow. Would I do that? Probably not. Giving you all this income, giving you and giving
the house, because if something just goes drastically wrong.
Yeah. So
we'll pay off the car loan and then our roof will cave in. So
in this situation, I would not give your income given your current situation, because you obviously know how to budget, you know how to track your expenses. A lot of people, if they're not going to save money or they're just going to spend that emergency fund, I'd say pay it off. But you've obviously educated yourself a lot of money, and I wouldn't do that, especially with a house and costs are associated with that. But you could throw an extra $1,000 a month towards this car loan every single month for the next 12 months, pay it off, another $1,500 going towards your emergency fund. Since you have about $2,500 a month left over, 12 months from now, you'd have about $18,000 more in your emergency fund, and you'd have a paid off car. And then you can start investing a lot more money at that point too. And you'd have $32,000 in your savings account, basically in your situation close to a 10-month emergency fund. Then you can be throwing all $2,000, $3,000 towards investments at that point. So that's what I would do. Especially, you said the car loan gives you anxiety, but also the other stuff gives you anxiety. So I would attack the car loan and the emergency fund kind of at the same time, to just put yourself in a comfortable spot when it comes to emergency fund. But a lot of that's still going towards car. I wouldn't go like $2,000 towards emergency fund and $200 towards a car loan. I would definitely try to put like $1,000 a month towards a car loan. If you told me it did give you anxiety, I would still tell you to do that. But given that it gives you a little bit of anxiety, I would definitely be doing that. And me personally, I just hate car loans. I have these arguments with my friends. I have these arguments with family about car loans, and I've never heard someone that they became a millionaire by having a car loan.
Well, no. So for us, it was just tough because he drives an hour to work every day, each way. And like I said, we put down $8,000. If we bought an $8,000 car, it was not going to be reliable at all. This is the car we would have bought in a year or two after saving up for it. Yeah.
And I understand that. I guess my point there was more of the paying down the car loan. It's like, you obviously want to pay it down. It's like a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay it down. And it's like, I would rather just get rid of it. And you have the ability to do it, so you might as well. But I think I'll have the finance to do that and the ability to do that. So that's what I'd do if I was in y'all's shoes is, hey, let's throw $1,000 a month extra towards the car loan and the rest of it towards emergency fund. And 12 months from now, you're going to be in a great situation. Yes, in theory, if you put $5,000 towards a retirement account, you'd miss out on maybe 10% returns, 5% returns, whatever it might be, but it's going to be such a marginal difference in the long term getting rid of this car loan. So
would you temporarily cut back on the 401k contributions until the car loan is gone?
No, I wouldn't.
Because I know 10% is obviously we only need to do 4% to do the full math.
That's a preference thing. That's a completely preference thing on what you do. I'm never a fan of like cutting back on the 401k because once you cut it back, are you going to go back? I don't know.
We would, yeah.
Yeah, majority of people, I should say. I'm gonna cut back my 401k to do this. If you had,
they get used to having the money that's not going to the 401k.
Yeah, if you had credit card debt, if you were not disciplined like y'all are and have low expenses, I'm not as worried about that. I would just figure out what allocation if you want to do that for a couple months. I mean, it's only gonna be 12 months, but having some of the tax benefits of having a Roth and having a traditional lowers your tax liability, and you have a Roth account, 401k account that obviously grows tax free. So I personally wouldn't do that because if you're saying like a $200 a month margin between expenses and income, I would say yes, probably do that. But given you're at that spot, I wouldn't necessarily do it. But again, it's all preference. There's not a right or wrong. Whether you keep that in your 401k or you do it, as long as you're paying the car loan down, you're 12 months now, you're not going to have a car loan, and you're going to have a lot more money to invest in your 401k and everything else. So it comes down to preference, and like long term, it all comes down to mentally what's better for you. If you think cutting back 5% on your 401k or 6%, whatever it is, and putting that towards the car loan would let you sleep better at night for the next 6 to 12 months, then do that. Marginal long term return wise, net worth wise, it's not going to make that big of a difference in your net worth in the long term. So more so what makes you sleep comfortably at night.
Okay.
So let's now look at credit cards first.
Ruh-roh.
Are there some big expenses on here? Do they line up with your budget?
So I went on vacation for a few days in the beginning of August.
Okay, so last month we have 4 different credit card payments. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a credit card. This does not line up with the budget at all. We've got $1,300 on one card in purchases. We have $760 on another card. So that's $2,000. $1,100 on another, so $3,100, and then $700 on another one. So we're at $3,800 in credit card transactions That is a lot more than $760 by $3,100.
I know some of that is not like I know some of that stuff's from like July too, but yeah.
But still is a large difference. Okay.
Yes.
And has your emergency fund and bank account been depleting over the last few months because of this, or it's kind of stayed stagnant?
They're still going up. Still going up.
Okay.
Just not as fast. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go through this Amex card first. This one had 13.
That's loaded, right?
Sorry?
Is that the one that's loaded?
That had $1,300 in transactions. Previous balance was $134, payments $1,200. So your new balance was $213. See what you spent some money on here.
I think our dog had a dental surgery last month. That was like $700. I think that's on that card.
Okay, yeah. I see a lot of
2 separate charges, and then there was another vet visit that was like $300 too.
Okay. Yeah,
I believe that's all on that card.
Okay. And I see that now with the vet stuff, and then Petco, and then we got a love for Amazon.
Cat litter.
We have a love for Amazon with like 6 or 7 different transactions here.
Yeah, that was probably some of the medications I'm on are like homeopathic, like over the counter. So I've been ordering some of them on Amazon.
Okay.
And then some might be pet care, like personal care products.
Okay.
And then there's probably some that might be like clothes or something.
Okay. What's full script?
That's a prescription.
Okay. So prescriptions, medical, I can't fault you at all.
My medical I put in the budget as $300 because that's what it's dropped to now. But I just finished a few meds. The last couple of months, I've actually been budgeting $500.
Okay. Next card we got. So, I mean, a lot of those are when it comes to vet medical necessities there. The Chase Freedom, we got
that's a brand new card.
$760, and we got Chase Travel. You spent $177 there.
We're going to Atlanta.
Oh, nice. We could have done this in person then.
He has to go down for work for a week. So because the hotel's paid for, I bought my plane ticket. He's fully paid for, so his flight, hotel, everything, and food are paid for. Our only expense for that trip will be the $177 for my plane ticket.
Reimburse. It's important to mention that.
Yeah,
as I'll still be putting it on a card, and then I'll be getting paid back.
Right.
If y'all need food recommendations for Atlanta, let me know. I'll send you some your way.
We would appreciate it.
More vet stuff on here. Tractor Supply for $42.
That is either cat food or dog food. Yeah, okay. I think that one was dog food.
Xfinity, Aldi, $100
Yeah.
at Aldi for groceries, it looks like.
Okay.
And then what Steam games?
He bought a video game.
I bought a video game once in the last 12
he
months.
maybe buys one video game a year. It just happened to be
Yeah,
a
it
year.
happens to be the one where people look at it. It's great.
Yep. It always happens that way. At least that's what people say. My spending's never like this. But then we got
I wish I could say I was one of those. That way I'd have more games. I don't.
Yeah.
I have a lot of free games.
He even asked me permission. Can I spend $60 on a game?
oh, that's great. Okay, so a lot of that is there's not many purchases on there, vet stuff and medical stuff and the travel.
The Xfinity was discretionary. I went to a concert and bought a t-shirt.
Okay. Expensive t-shirt. $40? That's how much there are at concerts these days?
It's my number one favorite band, and I don't have a t-shirt. It was only my second time seeing them, so I spoiled myself a little.
Okay.
Any clothes at their concert is always expensive.
Yeah, hoodies are like $80.
Okay, so now we got the Discover card, more Tractor Supply for pets, it looks like. Okay, we got more health stuff, shopping at Burlington, it looks like.
Yeah, that was actually personal care and snacks. It was like bars of soap and like a bag of chips, stuff like that.
More health stuff, it looks like. More vet stuff. Okay, so the vet stuff was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was over $1,000 on what shows up in those statements.
What's your reason on having so many different credit cards right now?
He only has one. I'm the one who likes credit cards, so my Discover is just my first card. That's why I have it. I like the Amex because it gives me good cash back for gas and groceries. And I just got the Chase because they gave me a sign-up bonus. They're giving me 5% back on gas and groceries for a year. And I wanted a boosted cash back on like every purchase, like the 1.5%. So I don't plan on getting more, but yes, I have 3 cards right now and he has one.
I'm more of a simplicity when it comes to credit cards. I had the Capital One Saver card for food, and it was like it's $100 a month annual fee or $100 a year annual fee, and that annual fee hit, and I was like, do I really need this? And I called them to try to downgrade it from like 4% cash back to 3% cash back, so there's no annual fee. They wouldn't do that, so I was like, just cancel it, because for me to get that extra 1% delta essentially on cash, or I guess 2% for that $100 fee, like I'd have to spend a lot of money, and I spent $5,000 eating out and on groceries. And it's like, yes, groceries I think is 3%, and then restaurants is 4% cash back, and it's like I spent $5,000 or $10,000 between those different categories, and it's like I might be right around that ballpark, and it's like it's not gonna make an extra $20 or $30 cash back. It's not gonna change my life. So I answered it. Yeah. I'm a one-person card with Venture, and it's 2x miles and everything, and it's just easy. So
for me, I'm a nerd, and those are all no annual fee. And so I like to use whichever one gives me the most, because I like feeling like, if I can get an extra $5, then, it's $5.
Yeah. Whereas I've had my Discover card since getting my Discover card, which was back when I was 18, 19. And I just haven't looked at anything else because I haven't, I needed to.
It's easy, but I like, if I can get free money, I'm all about it, even if it's a few bucks.
Yeah. That's like my parents. I think they've had their City card or something for like 20 years and has absolutely zero rewards. And like, they've never even thought about changing anything. And it's like, it's just funny how our generation is like all about credit card, which I get, but also that leads to now we have $1 trillion worth of credit card debt in America.
Right.
The majority.
Well, and I wouldn't do it if I was paying interest or fees. They've never gotten $1 from me.
That's the same thing. I guess I've paid annual fees, but if you were carrying a credit card balance, you'd pay interest. Like, don't use credit cards. But if you don't play the credit card game with no annual fees in your current financial situation, that's up to you. It's not a terrible thing to do with if you're in that situation. But if you had any debt in regards to credit card debt, or didn't know how to do that, or manage these payments, definitely wouldn't. So let's see what else we're on here. Home Depot, $87. Home ownership.
Someone hit our mailbox.
Ooh.
So that was me. I bought a new mailbox. I installed it myself. So
did they hit and run?
I wasn't even home. I got home and it was like bent sideways.
That happened. Amazon hit my mailbox one time. They left, but I had it on security camera, and Amazon ended up paying for it. And then another time USPS hit my mailbox, and I'm like, why is everyone hit my mailbox?
Yep. Yeah, that was Home Depot.
And
that wasn't good.
Yeah. And then we got Yankee Spirits, $240.
Okay. So we don't drink really.
Having a party.
It sounds like we do.
So,
sounds like you
so
do.
the vacation I went on for 3 nights in the beginning of August, my sister paid for the Airbnb. And so I was going to give her like a third of the cost, but instead there's a really cheap liquor store near us that she and her husband like stuff from. They don't live near it. So instead of giving her the money for the Airbnb, I bought them their alcohol. So none of the alcohol is for me.
I didn't even get to see
it. Okay. That's, I guess, a way to pay back. Pay her back.
Some of that was for my dad too, actually. And I think like $70 was for my dad and he gave me cash for it.
Besides that, we have Spotify and a collectibles, looks like for $18. So
that was a souvenir, yeah, on the vacation.
Nothing like crazy or outrageous, more so just health stuff. And then I guess paying back for the travel. But you're paying your credit cards off in full, which is great. And then the other card, why do you have 2 different Spotify transaction accounts?
So one is mine, one is his. I know they have
Why
the
do you
duo
do family
now.
plan? You say it's like
hold on. There's a reason.
No, we're saving $1. He is grandfathered into an old Spotify plan that gives him Hulu for free. So if we were to cancel and combine, we would save $5 on Spotify, but then we would have to spend $6 for Hulu, and that is our only streaming service now. I canceled HBO, I canceled Netflix, everything. So that's why we do it.
That's hilarious. They have combined finances, but separate Spotify accounts, everybody.
Yes. I mean, I could cancel mine.
We have to keep our music separate. It's very important.
Oh, I love it. That's funny. Okay, so on this account, we got Spotify again, and then we got gas. We got some eye care stuff, some more medical stuff.
Oh, the eye care was also, we just got new glasses.
Okay.
So that was like a once a year thing.
Okay.
That's the other thing that came up.
Something that needs to be, I guess, need to be boosting that medical line item in your budget then to account for all these and eye care and everything else. That's a once in a year thing, but making sure you just have that in there. And then we got gas stuff on here. Okay. Let's look at bank transactions. I'll use a debit card or everything on credit cards.
There's a few things on debit, but very little.
Let's see. You write checks?
We had someone come in and fix our central air. So I only use it if it's like a contractor coming to the house or something.
Okay. We got on August 2nd, $2,000 going to Vanguard. So going the investing route versus the...
No, that was not. I had savings bonds that I cashed in specifically and put in that amount. Okay. So I redeemed savings bonds and put the money into my Roth IRA.
Okay. So you took the money out of the bonds and put them in your Roth.
And I already set aside the money for taxes too.
Okay. Okay, good. Discover card payments. We got payments for more credit cards, more Vanguard investments, that more bonds.
Yeah, I did twice. Yep.
We got 18 withdraw for $240.
Oh, I got reimbursed for 100 of that from my sister. My cousin's boyfriend was in a very severe motorcycle accident and we gave them money to help cover rent and groceries.
Okay.
And that $40 was just cash to have on hand. I like to have a little cash on me.
Okay. And then we have Prudential Insurance, $244.
Yep, that's an annual premium. I have life insurance that my parents took out for me when I was a baby.
It's a whole life insurance?
It is variable fixed life insurance. So kind of. It's not term.
I don't know the ins and outs of variable fixed compared to whole life and everything else, but
honestly, me neither. But I know the cash value of the account is like $3,600, and basically if I die, he gets $90,000.
She loves to tell me that she's worth more dead than alive, which is concerning to hear.
What's stopping you from cashing it out and buying a term life insurance policy instead?
My dad. He is very proud of that policy that he took out. That I know, I guess I'm just not super aware of why the term policy would be better than this one. Because like that $244 I pay every year. And the money goes into like the investments, and once the cash value reaches like $10,000, it ups the death benefit.
Okay.
So the original death benefit was $60,000 and it's $90,000 now.
Okay. I would have to learn more about the variable and different stuff. But I mean, typically whole life insurance, whole life is usually like 10 times more expensive than term. And like usually people
was told I had tried to call and I didn't know about the policy because my dad didn't tell me. And so I was late on the payment. They lapsed the policy and I tried to just close it and get a new policy. And they told me that because of my medical history, I would not qualify anymore, that I would get denied.
That might deny you from some term life insurance stuff too then. So keeping it might not be the end of the world there. And if it's only $20 a month and be allowed to get term life insurance, it's not a bad thing to have then in that situation. But it's more so, especially for anyone watching, don't go get whole life insurance, especially. I mean, that's all commission based and upfront fees and just not.
And my dad was sold on it, and I know that, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So there's different circumstances like in this. If you wouldn't be able to qualify for term, some this low, if it was like $244 a month, would I suggest that? Again, I'd have to learn more about it and what the fees are. But given what you've told me with not qualifying for some stuff, and you might run out of term, definitely look and see and just compare. But when you listen to, if you know who Meet Sadie is, or
I know who he is, but I haven't really watched a lot of his stuff.
Or Dave Ramsey. I mean, they hate any type of whole variable type policies because they're typically very just upfront fee structured and not beneficial to the end users, beneficial for the brokers that are selling it. So
right.
And they're usually a lot more expensive. Whole life insurance is usually 10 times more expensive than term life insurance is. So
yeah, I know whatever this policy is, they don't even offer it anymore. So okay. I don't know.
And then we got, what else? Cox Communications for $49.99. Is that
internet?
Okay. Then we got more credit card payments. So on this account, had a lot of money come in here. I mean, I see all the credits.
Well, a lot of that was the savings bonds that I redeemed.
Yeah. Okay. I see the bonds redeemed. So
I think it was like $5,000 in savings bonds.
Okay. Yeah, I see that now.
Well, you make it look really sketchy when you looked at it.
I didn't know we were doing this at that time.
Oh, that's funny. And then so any balance in there, it ended at $4,500. And then other savings, we have $1,000 in there. And then third savings, so you got a bunch of different banks with a bunch of different banks. Okay, two different banks.
It's two different banks, yeah. I just opened the CIT bank in February. That's our emergency fund. I like to have money available at our in-town bank though.
So 14,000 in savings, but I'm missing.
I didn't have an updated bank statement for that. So I actually rolled that into a new account. The current balance on that CIT bank account is $9,500.
Okay. I was wondering because there's definitely some missing there. So okay.
Yeah, because I put more into there and then I rolled it into an account with the same bank that has a slightly higher interest rate.
Okay, I see the 4.6% interest rate on it. So
yeah, I'm at 5.05 now.
Nice. Okay, I was wondering where that difference was. Okay, so bank accounts, good shape, $14,000 between those.
I actually do have a question.
I got an answer.
How much do you recommend keeping in checking?
So this is it depends. What my wife and I do is we have 1 month of expenses in it, and then the rest is in a high yield savings account. That's just a separate account, separate bank. So that's what we do. We have 1 month. So it's after we're making sure after our mortgage payment's paid that we have at least 1 more month of everything in checking. So we would never have to do it, or an emergency comes up, then we can cover that without actually transferring money in and out, just to limit transfers in and out. But everything on top of that, throw in the emergency funds, so we're earning 4.5%, 5% versus sitting in our checking account 0.1% or 0.01%, whatever it is. That's what I typically do.
Yeah, because I always keep it I do $3,000 plus whatever bills are coming up before the next paycheck. So basically, it will never be below $3,000.
Yeah. I think that's a great area to have. Then you have the ability to transfer in and out if you need to, or something drastic comes up. So 401ks, let's talk about those. So we got a 10K. Okay, you put in target date funds, which isn't a bad route to go. Some people say do target date because it's easiest to do. You don't have to think about stuff. Others say go full equity. Comes down to preference. This is debate or thought that my wife and I, when we're looking at our 401ks, should we go the retirement or the target date fund, or should we go sole equities? And right now we're doing the sole equities, but will we change that one day? We'll see. We got another brokerage account that has $17,000 in it. What is that mainly invested in?
I have questions about that account.
What is
so that
this?
Is that the MFS?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is a non-retirement brokerage that his parents gave to him. It is invested in like a growth fund. So we don't have a specific purpose for that. My issue with it is this is something that was taken out with a commission-based financial advisor, and they take 1% for management fee.
Are they still getting 1%?
Yes.
Ooh.
So I kind of want to pull it, but only 12,000 of that is contribution. So the other like 5 or 6,000 is going to be tax long-term capital gains.
So
I think I figured it was going to be like $750 in taxes if we pull everything.
I'm confused. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where they're pulling this stuff from, but if you're I would financial advisors, I'm more of a pro of like pay an hourly rate of financial advisor, because you probably
this wasn't our decision. It was a gift to us, so we'll take it, you know.
It was a gift to me.
Well, to you, but I married you. So.
I'm definitely pro, like, especially I think having a financial advisor is good, and I have one, but I'm more of a proponent of hourly rate financial advisors, because when you get to, if people take 1.5%, there's people that take, and then they put you in high expense ratio mutual funds that underperform the market. And He
actually called us and asked us to move it into a Roth IRA, $6,500 at a time. But then the commission was going to be like 1.5 or 2%
on the Roth.
Yeah, so I didn't call him back.
Yeah, I would get rid of that guy and move this to an account that you solely open up and trust and manage. And there's obviously there's robo advisors out there too. I mean, Betterment has stuff, Vanguard has stuff, Charles Schwab has stuff, and I'm more of a proponent of, if you want a financial advisor or you don't want to manage the finance yourself, do a robo advisor that's 0.2 or 0.25% on those. Or use a platform like Acorns that's like a monthly fee. Looking at this compared to just the S&P 500, in the last 5 years, I'm on Google Finance right now. This has returned 10% over the last 5 years, whereas the S&P 500 is up 55%.
When the stock market tanked a couple years ago, it tanked. It went from like 20,000 to like 12,000, and it's worked its way back up to where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely down still. But yeah, I mean, compared with the S&P 500, it just underperforms it a lot. So I'm more of a proponent, put in some that's a broad U.S. market fund, or split between some small cap, mid cap, and a lot more in the broad market or total stock market stuff. But compared to those, it looks like it's severely under returning. And on top of that, it's a 1% expense ratio on the fund, and then you're paying a 1% expense ratio with a financial advisor. So compared to, you put in SPY, you put in VTI, you put in VOO, you're sitting at like a 0.04% expense ratio, and you don't have to pay the financial advisor if you do that. That's what I would do. I guess
I just didn't know if we should move that into retirement or keep it in regular brokerage. Should we save that for, like when we want to buy a home in the future? Should we save it for our home maintenance? I wasn't really I just don't know what to do with it, honestly.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's different routes. If you want to buy a house in the next 5 years, then you're not really supposed to invest money if you have
it will be 5 years. Okay. It'll be minimum 10, if not 20.
Okay, so if you're going to be buying a house down the line, it's fine to keep it, in my opinion, in investments. I would still probably just to be done with this advisor, be done with these high expense ratio funds, I personally would get rid of it and just have a separate account. And you want to call it, I mean, my wife and I, we do this for our house, is we have a housing fund. And because we're not currently paying our house principal down, but what we're doing is we're putting the money that we would be and putting in an investment account and just putting in broad market funds and letting that grow, because our mortgage interest rate is 3.7, and trying to just invest the difference on that. But same thing with this house. If you're looking to save up for a house, put in a broad market fund, put in different ETFs like that aren't 1% expense ratios, and put in a separate account is what I would do. So if you want
your thoughts on cashing in that account, setting aside the tax obligation, and then using the remaining money to pay off the car loan, and then take whatever's left and put in our emergency fund.
If that makes you sleep better at night, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Okay. So, because then we'll have more money available where we can focus on building investments back up.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to a preference thing. I mean, long-term paying down a 7% loan compared to returning 10% in the stock market is not going to drastically change things for you. It's more of what makes you sleep better at night. And if you have a liquidity event in this situation, you want to use that to pay off the car loan, or you want to have it to pay down the car, and then you pay the rest of the next 6 months. That makes you more comfortable to put $6,000 more to the emergency fund. Then you do that too. But I don't think paying off a car loan is ever a bad idea, especially when it's a 7% interest rate. Obviously, you have to count for taxes on it, but I don't think it's a horrific idea. I don't think long term, with your income, with what you'll be able to invest after the car payment's done, after emergency funds built up, it will make a significant difference in the outcome of your life. So it's all comes down to what makes you sleep better at night. Would you rather have the car payment for 12 months and just pay down $1,000 a month, or would you rather kind of wipe it out with this, since you're going to be moving it away from that financial advisor? You're going to have taxable events selling it either way. What makes you feel better? So I would not go spend it. I would either A needs to go to the car, B needs to go to the emergency fund, or C go straight back into investment.
I can't buy $17,000 worth of games. That's crazy.
No, you cannot, Travis. No, you cannot. So I don't think you're wrong with either of those. Either of those three routes. So again, long term, it shouldn't make a significant difference on what you're doing. So
okay.
And then in regards like putting it towards your retirement accounts, are y'all maxing out Roth IRAs this year?
No. So he actually doesn't even have a Roth IRA yet.
Okay.
Just because we've never gotten to the point where I only made mine last October because I didn't know about it. So I made mine last October. I wasn't quite able to max it out by April. This year, I was kind of feeling bad about not contributing any, so that's why I had redeemed some of the savings bonds. So I've contributed just shy of $5,000 to mine this year, or no, $5,400.
Okay, so you're close, and you should be able to max it out. I guess you got to build up your emergency fund and car loan, and that's the route you're going to go before the end of the year. But that's the route you could go. Again, it's if you're going to, you have a lot of different routes, and it really comes down to personal preference. If you want to save for retirement, if you want to put it towards like a housing fund for future payment, or you want to get rid of the car loan and build an emergency fund and just wipe that out, doing one of those three things isn't going to, whatever makes you sleep better at night and whatever makes you do it.
Well,
but
my thought too with the Roth IRA, like I haven't even made his yet, but we have the Roth 401k, which I know it's not the same, but it still has that, tax.
It still has Roth benefits to it. So you still want to get his set up at minimum for next year. And make sure you're maxing those out. I would still max out Roth IRA, even if you're doing the Roth 401k contributions, because Roth IRA has extra benefits where you can essentially pull out contributions without penalty. You can't take out the gains, but you can take out contributions if you ever wanted to use that down the line. Wouldn't recommend doing that, but it does have extra benefits there. So I'd definitely recommend doing that.
Would you keep our 401k? Now, keeping in mind we're doing 10% into his. With the match, we're basically doing 16% into his.
Yeah, so
would you still keep it that high and max out both Roth IRAs?
So personally, I max out, my wife and I both max out our 401ks, and we do backdoor Roths. So we're essentially maxing out 401ks and a Roth IRA every single year. Actually, we started doing that this year because of, have you ever heard of Money with Katie? She's has a newsletter. She's phenomenal. She had a video that shows the benefits of maxing out a 401k, taking those tax savings and contribute that to a Roth IRA. And again, it depends on tax bracket, depends on different situations and circumstances, but that convinced me to, hey, start maxing out the 401k and doing the Roth IRA on the side.
My math has shown that if we max out both of those, it's kind of ridiculously above where my retirement goal is.
Yeah. And again, it comes down to personal preference of, hey, you want to invest now, and also depends on, I guess you said you want to retire at 59 and a half. So obviously with maxing out a 401k, you can't touch that without penalty till 59 and a half. So it comes down to personal preference and goals with that. So whether you're investing in your 401k or you're investing in a Roth or you're investing in a taxable brokerage account, as long as you're in one of those three with the money that you're going to do it, you can't go wrong. What are these bonds though? Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, anytime I had like a birthday, Christmas, whatever, my grandfather would give us savings bonds. So that was all from him. It ended up being, before I cashed them, it was just shy of $10,000.
Oh, wow.
So
and you still have $4,000 in there?
Yeah, I cashed about $5,500 I think it was at 9,500, and there's still 4,000 that I'm kind of sitting on for now.
What's causing you of keeping that in there?
Well, I just started taking them out because for the longest time, my dad had told me leave them in there for 30 years till they mature. But then I'm looking, and some of them are getting like 2.12%.
Yeah, we got 2.99. We got 3.4. We do have some that are like 7. They're the I bonds.
Yeah, I like the I bonds that are high, that are like 7%. I know there's not a lot, but then the other reason I was wondering about holding on to them is the old EE bonds. Once they hit the 20-year mark, they are guaranteed to double in value. So I didn't know if it was worth holding on to them until they hit 20 years, because I know a lot of them are almost there, but at the same time, like, it's not a lot of gains.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of $1,000s of those.
My grandfather is a no stock market kind of person. His whole retirement is CDs and savings bonds.
And gold bars.
And gold bars.
Literally gold bars.
He's a jeweler, so it's literally gold.
Yeah, I mean, personally, $4,000 in that, I would use that car loan.
Okay.
I mean, 3% on these. I mean, by having it sitting here, majority of it is at 3% to 5%. Out of this $4,000, probably 3,500 is sub 4%, sub 5%.
Yeah. So the interest rate on his car loan is
interest rate on the car loan is 7%. So. And I think on I bonds, they're subject to federal taxes too. I think they're exempt from state, it looks like, but federal, you're paying taxes.
The bonds are federal tax too, on the earnings only.
On the earnings, okay, yeah. So
federal tax, but no state tax.
Yeah, I mean, I would wipe those and put those towards
even the 7% I bonds you would get rid of.
You have $300 or $400 in those. At 7%,
okay.
$400 if you have that in a high yield savings account instead. I mean, it's $12 a year. Have those still open, and it's like, I know you want to get your $5 credit card points or $12 here, but what's gonna make you sleep better at night? $400 in here, putting that towards the car loan.
Yeah,
especially when it's 7% versus 6.9% on the car loan. It's under 1% in terms of difference on $400 is not, again, $4 a year on that basically. Between the car loan and these. So I would use this and pay this towards the car loan. 100% is what I would do. And then the other investment account comes down to preference of what you want to do that. I would get that 100% out of those and put it into other index funds that are low cost, not financially managed at 1% plus a 1% expense ratio. But that's $21,000 basically between there that could pay off your car loan, juice up your emergency fund, and then give you $2,500 a month to go towards investing in a normal brokerage account. You got another 401k that's...
Yeah, so he can't roll that over because of the company stock in there. You can only have that when you're an employee.
Interesting, okay.
So he took his match in the form of company stock, which is not publicly traded.
Okay.
Of course, that's down right now because, it's UPS and they almost went on strike. So their stock went down a little bit. I think it's at 27,000 for the total account, and before it was at like close to 29. So it did go down a bit.
He can't transfer that out, roll it over, and sell the stock.
He can sell the UPS stock.
He just can't roll it.
You can't. There's no other way to get that UPS stock without being an employee.
Well,
and he
at that discount rate that I got
at the discount rate. Yeah.
Okay. So he got it. Okay.
Yeah. We could definitely roll over what's in the target retirement fund.
Yeah.
There.
So I see it's $11,000, $12,000 in UPS stock, and they're down the last couple months because of the whole strike and everything. But
historically, they do similar to the S&P 500 though.
Yeah. I mean,
9% and up typically.
America needs UPS, so
exactly.
Weirdly enough, shipping is not going to stop happening at any time.
Yeah, it is not even close, and they are the largest one out there, and people are not going to. It's not going away anytime soon. So
and that is our only individual stock. Yeah. So I know it's kind of a high percentage, but
yeah, I mean. If it's in there, it's a good company. At some point, maybe you want to phase it out and do something with it. But single stocks, I've learned my lessons too. I've tried to invest in single stocks, and some I won on, and some I did atrocious on, and definitely learned my lesson. So single stocks I had before that, like Apple or Amazon or Facebook, I've kept those. But ones that I had losses on, I got rid of those and put those into index funds. So
I just kind of figure, because he really wants to leave that there. So I just figure that as we keep contributing to other stuff, it'll kind of rebalance our portfolio better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think right now, continue to contribute 401k and then everything else in index funds will balance it out and get you in a spot where majority of your portfolio is in more index funds versus single stocks. So, I mean, looking at all this, I mean, you put yourself at a 6 and a 7 in terms of financial health. I would compare to majority of America, you're probably an 8 or 9. I mean, you have a good income, making about 6 figures combined. You have $200,000 net worth, which is phenomenal for being 27 years old. When you compare it to any statistic out there about people under 35 or in their 20s, definitely some concern on the spending the last couple months, looking at these statements. So I would suggest, y'all use a budgeting app or tracker?
I tried using Rocket Money and didn't like it. So I actually do my budget on paper. I go through every single
paper. You gotta at least use Excel.
No, I like paper.
I mean,
so yeah, so I do that usually on the first of the month. I go through
Did you know you
I literally have a budget binder and everything's handwritten.
Oh wow.
I need like a template on Word.
This is her dad and her grandfather coming through, where it's like, no, I need it written down.
Travis,
and a whole lot on the computer.
Better hope she doesn't convince y'all to go all bonds then too with those habits.
If I start waking up and there's gold bars in the bedroom, I'll be concerned.
I'm all digital. I like digital. I use mint.com. There's Copilot. There's EveryDollar. But I think online would be a lot easier to do, give you a better picture, and 2, it'd be easier for Travis to understand. Because he won't have to go through the binder and figure out what month are we even on, or why is there 1,000 different spreadsheets or papers in here.
Oh, it's very organized.
Travis, when was the last time you looked at it?
I'm not going to answer that. I don't need to. You're not a lawyer.
I only just started the binder a few months ago. It's pretty new.
Okay. But that's what I do, is figure out a budgeting system, but spending, definitely need to get that under control. I'm not worried about y'all being able to get out of the car loan or pay that off, or your current financial situation. It's more of just making sure spending is under control. Obviously, emergencies come up, new glasses come up, but you need to make sure you're at least accounting for a lot of those things on an annual basis. I mean, if your pet budget's $175, but you have that on average, and then you have an extra $1,000, maybe up that $300 a month. Medical.
That $1,000 was mostly her dental, which we've had her for 3.5 years and she's never needed one before. So,
and then medical, just making sure that you're putting appropriate amounts in there. Just because, again, same with me, I'd rather be on the high end in terms of budget, and then if I have stuff left over, great. But in this instance, y'all ran through all these budgets basically last month, and didn't account for some stuff that's more on an annual basis, like the teeth cleaning. But just make sure you account for that. And then when it comes to investments and assets, obviously house, y'all are up big on your house right now, about $100,000 of equity, which is awesome. Cheap interest rate. I wouldn't move anytime soon. You said 10, 20 years. I would definitely keep this thing for as long as possible, because
if we can stay happy here, I would just live here till we retire and then get our new house.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a great spot to be in with that interest rate, with home value versus what you have left on your mortgage. And then car loan. Car loan's my only issue I have right now. And I think personally what I'd do is bonds, throw out that car loan, and then that other investment account, I would either throw that into other investments that are not 1% expense ratios, not 1% financial advisor, not underperforming the S&P 500 by 40% over the last 5 years, and just either allocate that towards emergency fund or allocate that towards getting out of the car loan. Car loan, whatever makes you sleep better at night. Personally, I'd probably go car loan, because you have to use $8,000 out of that 17, obviously account for some taxes there. But that'd still leave you some left over to put towards the emergency fund and get out of that. And then you'll have full-fledged $2,000, $2,400 a month that you can start building up your investment account quickly. And you'll have, the next 12 months, you put $2,000 a month towards it, or $2,500, you have $24,000 to $30,000 in there, and you won't even realize that you had to start that account from zero basically again. So, overall, I think you're all in a great financial situation. And it's more so just making sure you have your spending under control moving forward, and working on a plan to get out of this car loan that makes you comfortable. I would not go the investment, saving, and paying out the car loan if you're just cash flowing everything, because I think that just will cause your car loan balance not go that fast, emergency fund not go up that fast, and won't really solve your anxiety towards one or the other. But maybe a tax savings and car loan, and then put off investing until everything is done, or use the bonds or brokerage accounts right now during that transfer to get rid of them. So, but no, overall, I think you're in a great shape for 27 years old, and long term, you have 68,000 in investments right now. Y'all can continue to contribute a lot to those. By the time you contribute, you know how much money you'd have if you contribute $2,000 a month till you're 60 years old at a 7% return?
4 million.
About 3.7. That's assuming a 7% annual rate of return. So like using 7% to account for inflation a little bit, but yeah, close to $4 million. You'd have a fully paid off house, or you'd bought another house cash because you're retired or whatever it might be. But I mean, you are well on your way to doing well. And you already are doing well, and you're well on your way to be set up very comfortably for retirement. And
so $2,000 a month, would that be counting the 401k contributions that we're doing?
Yeah, $2,000 a month, including 401k, including brokerage accounts. So, I mean, if you're with the 401ks and doing more towards that, obviously right now you'd be able to do more, but or it would be more for that. So I think your 401k is about $300 per pay period. It looks like, towards that, not including the match. So you'd be more at like $2,500 to, I guess, $2,600 there. So then you're sitting at, and my calculator stopped working. It's not working anymore. But well on your way, basically, I guess is my point. So, but really do, I guess, sorry, if it was $2,600 a month, that's 67. If we're at $2,600 a month, you'd be at 4.7 million. And again, that's in today's dollars because it's accounting 3% inflation on that. So that would,
my thought for retirement, the inflated number would be like 4.5 million. I was thinking was good for us.
I mean, I'd give you $184,000 a year to spend, or essentially a salary of $184,000, which you're about half that right now in terms of annual income. So you'd have more than enough.
Inflation.
Well, this is accounting for inflation. So I'm doing.
I was shooting for 4.5 million in like actual dollars, like
So I'm doing a 7% annual rate. Yeah, I'm doing 7% annual return versus doing 10%. So I mean, the average
actually has us over what I was planning on.
Yeah, so average rate of return, S&P 500, people say 10%, but if you did 10% over the next 33 years at $2,600 a month, you'd be at 9.8. So if you're doing it at 7%, you're at 4.7. So that gives you 100.
So that's 4.7 million in today's dollars, what it feels like today.
Yes. If inflation continues on average at 3%, and the S&P 500 returns 10%.
$184,000 a year is like today's money.
Yes. If you're withdrawing 4% a year. That's a phenomenal spot to be in. You have to pay off house.
That's great.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how much was possible, I guess, to do by 60.
Yeah. I mean, by 50, you'd be at $2 million. And at that point, we're investing $2,600 a month. Maybe we tune it down to $1,000 a month and we go spend $1,600 and have fun, travel, whatever it might be. And obviously, if you plan to have kids, expenses are going to come up. But so it's good to no kids.
No, that's why we have pets.
There you go. So you're going to have the expensive pets, but not the kids. But kids are definitely
pets are overall cheaper.
Yeah. So, but no, you're well on your way to doing great, or putting yourself in a phenomenal situation as you continue to get older and put money in these retirement accounts. So, what final questions do I have for y'all? This is, I think, probably gonna be our longest interview to date too. So if you're still watching this, thank you for watching this.
I think
she has a list. She has to go through what you've already answered.
I think you covered most of it. I guess my big question was just the only thing left really was for an emergency fund. Being a homeowner, I'm not comfortable at 3 months expenses. Do you think 6 months is enough, or do you think as a homeowner it would be beneficial to have more than 6 months?
My wife and I, we try to go 12 months. In terms of our emergency fund, I'm more like being on the conservative side with it. So again, it comes down to a comfort level. You can't go wrong having 12 months. Life inevitably happens, things happen, and stuff breaks, AC goes out. That can wipe away a lot of your emergency fund real quickly. Your new roof, $15,000 can wipe it away. So I'm more proponent of building it up and having about 12 months. Am I worried or concerned that earning 3% or 4% or whatever interest rates kind of fall to, or if they fall, my high yield savings account compared to what it could make investing? No, I'm not for 6 months of expenses. I wouldn't build out 2 years, 3 years, 4 years in cash, but
no.
If you sleep better at night, again, it comes down to what's best for you. And if you sleep better at night, not having a car loan, if you sleep better at night, having 12 months of emergency fund, again, if you're investing $2,600 a month from now till you're 60, none of those things will matter. And they're they might take you from marginally change that outcome if you earn a higher return somewhere else than on the other thing. So I'm more proponent, especially as a homeowner, married with pets, emergencies come up, especially if you had kids, 12 months, definitely. My parents growing up, they had an emergency fund of over 12 months and thankfully did when 2008 happened and my dad worked in the lumber industry, stuff happened there. So I'm always proponent of longer emergency fund, the better. I wouldn't go beyond 12 months, but I think that's a very fine spot to be in if it makes you sleep better at night. So anything else?
I don't have any.
I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate y'all's time and just being transparent and open, and congratulations on all the hard work and success y'all have had so far. And I hope that this is eye-opening to others that, hey, they've built a $200,000 net worth by 27, making about $100,000 a year. And that income jump has drastically improved in the last year and a half, I guess, when Travis got his new job. So you can do it too. Yes, they did time the market pretty good with the housing house purchase, but I have $70,000 in investments and $14,000 in savings apart from that. So y'all are well on your way.
Point out though that a good portion of my investments were inherited from my mom and dad. It's not just something that like I completely work towards. I am very lucky to have gotten the giant gift that I did get.
Yeah, and I had $10,000 from my grandfather. So we're very
not saying I didn't work hard for it, but
we remove some of that money. You're not giving yourself enough credit. Remove the $20,000 or $25,000. Your net worth goes from $200,000 to $175,000.
Then you have to still include the fact that if I didn't have a reliable family, that I would have to have, if I still had this house, we would have had to pay for somewhere to stay for while we were getting our floors redone.
Hey, you're discounting yourself too much. Obviously, yes.
I don't want to mislead someone saying like, yeah, I worked very hard to be able to do all of this stuff. I do want to just have a little footnote saying I did have a very reliable family to be able to lean on and to have had a good head start on this stuff.
Yeah.
Without or even like financial formal training on it, they still set me up to succeed in that.
100%. And I understand that. I'm trying to give y'all more credit because you've done a great job. You're living below your means. Well, not based on the last month of credit card transactions, but to be in the spot you're in, you're at least living below your means.
It's never a typical month.
I know you've never heard that.
A typical month when you show your finances on this show. But what would y'all tell? What advice would you give to anyone that's in a financial situation that they seem that is insurmountable or find themselves in a pile of debt?
I would say start saving in small steps where you can. If you're spending a lot of discretionary money, try to find things that make you happy that don't cost money so then you can save more and educate yourself.
Yeah, making sure to have a hobby that either costs very little or nothing. I mean, even like going hiking, which is something that Gabrielle likes to do a lot, doesn't cost anything.
Yep.
I know that's not something you can do like every single day, but like small activities like that build up to be able to take your free time away, where it's not just sitting in your apartment, your room, going, wow, I wish I had money to spend.
Yeah, no, 100%. Have to find hobbies and things that take care of yourself mentally, physically, but don't cost you $300 a month on art supplies or something if you're finding yourself in a pile of debt. So, and last thing I have is, what is your biggest takeaway from coming on the show, and what advice would you give to someone that is thinking about emailing me to be on the show just like y'all did?
I think my biggest takeaway is don't be scared to pull my money out of bad investments. Or
just underperforming investments.
Right. And as for advice for someone considering going on the show, I would say if you think you would value having another opinion, just another perspective on your finances, then it's definitely worth it.
Travis, what do you got?
Oh no, she helped with them. I helped with them. That was 50% me.
There we go. Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for joining today. If you're watching this, if you made it to the end of this is the longest interview we've had, the first interview we had with a couple. And
well, that's why it's the longest.
That's why
two people here, double the time.
2 people. So hit the like and subscribe button so we can help America learn more about money. And we'll see y'all next time. So thank you very much for joining today, y'all.